Hello and welcome back to the course on Power BI. In today's tutorial, we're going to create a visualization to portray the gender split in our customer base. So let's go ahead and create a new tab here. We'll just call it gender. And let's get started. So we're going to use a pie chart, and then we're going to take gender, drag it onto the pie chart. Then we're going to use customer ID. And customer ID is a very handy tool to use, or handy column to use, because it allows us to understand how many customers we have in those groups. And if you just click this drop down for customer ID, you'll see that it's automatically defaulting to count. So it's not aggregated as a sum or an average. So Power BI is smart. It recognizes that customer ID is not something that you add up, or you take an average off. You just need to count them. And because in our data set, every single row represents a individual customer, therefore counting these customer IDs tells us how many we have in each of these groups. So here we have 1,849 people. Here we have 2,165 people. All right, so first thing that we want to fix up here is we want to change the colors, because we want to make them a bit more intuitive. So let's set that one to pink, and let's set this one to, oh, that's too light, like maybe this blue, something like that. Maybe this can even be a red. Yeah, it's totally up to you what colors you would like to use. That's way too dark. So let's try a blue, custom color, maybe somewhere over here, something like that. So that's our first step. And that way we don't actually need a legend, because it is intuitive, and we don't need to display a legend, and that will save us some space. And next is we want to replace this male and female. So we want to actually show the percentages of people in each group. So here in detail labels, instead of category, let's select data value. So you can select both if you like, but again, once again, we don't really need to. We can just select data value, increase the size here, maybe make it a 12. And what you can see here is that it's showing us the number of people rather than a percentage. So how do we fix that? Well, here we've got a hint. It's saying data value. So that means we need to fix up the actual data value that is being used for this chart, and that will allow us to see this as a percentage. So let's go do that. So customer ID, here we're just counting, but we want to add a table calculation. So we want to take 1.85 thousand and divide by 2.17 thousand plus 1.85 thousand. So we want to take this and divide by the total. And in this case, we want to take this number and divide by the total. So how do we do that? Well, here we can just select quick calc and give it a second. So there it is. Base value is customer ID, summarize value by count, and then show value as, instead of no calculation, select percent of grand total. Click OK. As you can see, there we are, 53.9%, 46.0%. And now if we go back to our detail labels, we don't want any decimal points, so just click 0 here, and it will round it out for us. Wonderful. So that is how we use table calculations in Power BI. It's a very simple example of using table calculations. Of course, there will be more complex situations when you might need to use table calculations, but nevertheless, it's a good introduction into what table calculations are all about and how to invoke them in Power BI. So once again, you just need to go to your drop down over here, select quick calc, and select percent of grand total. And as you can see, it adds this information at the start, percentage of GT, which stands for percentage of grand total. There we go. Our pie chart is ready, and that completes today's tutorial. In the next one, we'll perform the next step towards our final visualization. And I look forward to seeing you then. Until next time, happy analyzing.